The ultimatum. The message arrived on Earth during an ordinary Tuesday morning. Unlike the cheerful communications that typically flowed between Earth and its galactic neighbors, this transmission bore the ominous seal of the Syrian Collective, the most powerful faction in the known universe. Admiral Helena Reyes, Earth's representative to the Galactic Council, was awakened by the urgent alert on her neural implant. As she accessed the message, the blood drained from her face. Earth had enjoyed nearly 40 years of peace since first contact with alien civilizations. Humanity had proven itself resourceful, if technologically primitive, earning a modest place among the stars. While not considered equals by the ancient spacefaring species, humans were tolerated as an emerging civilization with potential. That careful balance had just shattered. The Syrian message was brutally direct. Earth occupied a strategically vital position in a newly discovered spatial corridor. The collective required unhindered access to this corridor and demanded Earth's complete evacuation within 30 days. No negotiations would be entertained. Resistance would result in planetary sterilization. "They can't be serious," whispered Commander James Chen, Admiral Reyes' second-in-command, as he reviewed the transmission. 7 billion people can't evacuate in a month. We don't even have enough ships to move a fraction of that number. The Syrians know that, Reyes replied, her voice steady despite the terror clawing at her chest. This isn't a demand they expect us to meet. It's an excuse for what comes next. Within hours, an emergency global summit convened in Geneva. Leaders from every nation gathered as Admiral Reyes presented the ultimatum. The Syrian Collective, with their vast armada of planet-killer vessels, could erase humanity with minimal effort. Earth's defensive capabilities, while impressive by human standards, were laughable compared to species that had mastered interstellar travel millennia ago. "Our allies in the Galactic Council have advised complete compliance," Reyes reported to the ashen-faced assembly. "They recommend we select 400 million individuals, prioritizing genetic diversity, and evacuate them to designated refugee worlds. The rest," her voice faltered momentarily, "would remain." The chamber erupted in outrage. "Sacrifice over 6 billion people," thundered the African Union's representative. "This isn't diplomacy, it's genocide." "What about our defenses?" demanded General Williams of the North American Alliance. "The sole defense grid, the orbital platforms, would buy us perhaps 6 hours against their fleet." Commander Chen interrupted. "The Syrians have technology we can barely comprehend. Their shields can withstand nuclear detonations. Their weapons can crack planetary crusts." As the arguments raged, a quiet voice cut through the chaos. Dr. Ilara Chen, head of Earth's Quantum Physics Initiative, and Commander Chen's sister, had been invited as a scientific advisor. Unlike the military and political leaders, she appeared thoughtful rather than panicked. "There might be a third option," she said. The room fell silent as Dr. Chen explained her radical proposal. For years, her team had been researching quantum resonance fields, technology considered theoretical even among advanced civilizations. The Syrians, despite their power, relied on conventional shield systems that created a barrier between their ships and external forces. "But quantum fields don't stop at barriers," Dr. Chen explained. "They exist simultaneously across all potential states. If we can generate a planet-wide quantum resonance field calibrated to the exact frequency of Syrian technology, we might be able to disable their systems completely." "You're suggesting we could neutralize their fleet?" General Williams asked incredulously. "I'm suggesting we might be able to," Dr. Chen corrected. "This technology is untested on this scale. The power requirements would be enormous. Every major power plant on Earth would need to be reconfigured. And even then, success isn't guaranteed." "What are the odds?" Admiral Reyes asked. Dr. Chen hesitated. "If everything works perfectly, 30%. If the Syrians have countermeasures we don't know about, 0. Better odds than surrender," someone muttered. The debate lasted through the night. Some nations favored the evacuation plan, arguing that saving some was better than risking all. Others insisted negotiation must be attempted despite the Syrians' refusal. But as dawn broke over Geneva, a grim consensus emerged. Humanity would not go quietly. "We've been underestimated throughout our history," President Liu of the Global Federation said in the final address. "By nature, by each other, now by the stars themselves. Each time, we've survived through innovation and determination. We will not sacrifice billions to save millions. We stand together, or we fall together." The next 3 weeks transformed Earth like nothing in human history. National borders became meaningless as resources flowed toward the common goal. Dr. Chen's team worked around the clock, refining their theories and building prototype generators. Power grids were reconfigured globally to channel energy to the quantum resonance network. Military forces prepared defensive positions, knowing they would likely prove futile. In orbit, Earth's modest fleet of interstellar vessels was retrofitted with experimental quantum resonators. These ships would form the first line of defense, or more accurately, the first wave of sacrifice to gather data on Syrian shield frequencies. 7 days before the deadline, Admiral Reyes received a private communication from Felix, an Arcturian diplomat she had worked with for years. The Council voted against intervention. The alien's translucent appendages gestured apologetically through the hologram. "The Syrians are too powerful to challenge directly. But Helena, not everyone agrees with this decision. Information will find its way to you. Details about Syrian fleet formations, shield harmonics, command protocols. Use it wisely." "Why risk helping us?" Rise asked. The Arcturian's large eyes blinked slowly. "Because the collective has done this before. They find a reason. They make demands that cannot be met. Then they take what they want. If no one ever stands against them, this cycle will never end." As the deadline approached, a strange calm settled over Earth. Panic had given way to purpose. Families held each other close. Strangers helped strangers. Ancient enemies set aside centuries of grievance to work toward survival. If these were to be humanity's final days, they would be marked by the best of what humans could be, not the worst. 3 days before the Syrian fleet was due to arrive, Dr. Chen announced a breakthrough. By analyzing the data provided by their secret allies, her team had identified a critical vulnerability in Syrian shield systems. Their technology relies on a precise harmonic balance, she explained to the Emergency Council. "If we can generate a counter-harmonic at the exact moment their weapon systems engage, the feedback could cascade through their entire fleet." "Could," Admiral Rice noted. "Could," Dr. Chen agreed. "This is beyond experimental, Helena. We're talking about quantum mechanics on a scale never attempted. The math works on paper, but reality has a way of introducing variables we can't predict." On the final night before the Syrian deadline, Admiral Rice stood on the roof of the Geneva Command Center, looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the most powerful fleet in the galaxy was approaching, intending to demand Earth's surrender before sterilizing the planet. Tomorrow would determine whether humanity had a future among those stars, or became just another extinct species in the cosmic ledger. Commander Chen joined her, offering a steaming cup of coffee. "The quantum network is online," he reported. "Ilara says we're as ready as we'll ever be." "Do you think we have a chance, James?" Rise asked softly. He considered the question carefully. "I think humans have always done our best work when backed into a corner. I think we're too stubborn to accept impossible odds. And I think if any species is going to pull off a miracle, it's going to be us." He raised his cup in a toast. "To humanity's defiance." Admiral Rice clinked her cup against his. "To defiance," she agreed, as the stars continued their cold, distant watch over the planet that had decided to fight back. Defiance. The Syrian fleet arrived precisely at the deadline, materializing at the edge of Earth's solar system in a display of technological superiority. 300 vessels, each larger than anything humanity had ever constructed, formed a perfect geometric pattern as they advanced toward Earth. Their hulls gleamed with an otherworldly iridescence that seemed to bend light itself, a visual reminder of the unfathomable gap between human technology and that of the ancient spacefaring collective. In the Global Defense Command Center beneath Geneva, Admiral Rice watched the holographic display with outward calm that belied her racing heart. Beside her, Dr. Ilara Chen monitored the quantum resonance network that now enveloped the planet like an invisible web. Power consumption had reached unprecedented levels, draining every major grid on Earth to fuel their desperate gambit. Quantum field stabilized at 99.4%, Dr. Chen reported. As good as we're going to get. All defense platforms are armed and tracking, General Williams added. First response fleet is in position. The command center fell silent as a communication request chimed through the system. Admiral Rice nodded, and the holographic display shifted to reveal Xerian Commander. The alien's crystalline exoskeleton refracted light in hypnotic patterns, its multiple sensory appendages constantly shifting position. When it spoke, the translation came through in a flat, artificial tone devoid of emotion. This exchange is a courtesy, the Xerian stated. Your evacuation period has expired. Our scans indicate minimal compliance with relocation directives. This confirms the necessity of our intervention. You have 1 standard hour to surrender control of your orbital defense systems. After this period, we will commence planetary sterilization procedures. Admiral Rice stood straighter. We reject your ultimatum. Earth is our home, and we will defend it. We propose immediate negotiations for an alternative solution that respects our sovereignty. The Xerian's appendages stilled momentarily, the equivalent of surprise in their species. Negotiations were not offered. Your technology level indicates you cannot pose meaningful resistance. This response is irrational. Nevertheless, Rice replied, it is our response. The communication ended abruptly. On the tactical display, the Xerian fleet accelerated toward Earth. They're deploying into attack formation, Commander Chen reported. Estimated time to weapon range, 17 minutes. Admiral Rice turned to Dr. Chen. Start the sequence. Throughout the planet, the quantum resonance generators spun up to full capacity. Power grids flickered worldwide as energy was diverted to the experimental system. In orbit, Earth's defensive platforms adjusted their frequencies according to Dr. Chen's calculations, preparing for the moment of truth. The first wave of Xerian vessels approached Earth's outer defense perimeter. Their weapons charged, creating distinct energy signatures that the quantum sensors immediately detected and analyzed. They're preparing to fire, General Williams announced tensely. First target appears to be our lunar base. Dr. Chen's fingers flew across her console, calibrating resonance field to match their weapon signatures. Now, the effect was immediate and visible even to the naked eye. As the lid Xerian ships fired, their energy weapons connected with Earth's quantum field, and chaos erupted. Brilliant pulses of light engulfed the alien vessels as feedback cascaded through their systems. 3 ships went dark immediately, their power cores overloaded by the unexpected resonance. Cheer erupted in the command center, quickly silenced as Admiral Rice raised her hand. They'll adapt. This was only the first wave. Indeed, the remaining Xerian ships were already altering their approach, their weapon signatures shifting as they attempted to counter the quantum resonance. The battle evolved into a technological duel, with Dr. Chen's team racing to adjust their frequencies while the Xerians sought to bypass the defensive field. Earth's conventional defenses joined the fight, orbital platforms launching salvos at the disabled Xerian vessels, while the resonance field continued to disrupt the functioning ships. For nearly 2 hours, humanity held its own against the most feared fleet in the galaxy. An impossibility made real through desperate innovation. But the Xerians' technological advantage began to tell. Their adaptations came faster, their attacks growing more precisely calibrated to avoid the quantum disruption. Earth's defenses started failing, one by one. We're losing the resonance field integrity, Dr. Chen reported, her voice tight with exhaustion. Power systems can't maintain this output much longer. On the tactical display, a massive Syrian dreadnought moved into position above the North Atlantic. Its weapons charged with enough power to devastate an entire continent. "This is it," Commander Chen said quietly. Admiral Rice closed her eyes briefly. Launch Project Prometheus. From a hidden facility beneath the Pacific Ocean, Earth's final defense emerged. A single vessel unlike any humanity had built before, incorporating technology gleaned from a dozen alien species and powered by an experimental drive. The Prometheus shot toward the Syrian dreadnought at impossible speed. "Prometheus is on collision course," General Williams confirmed. "Impact in 30 seconds." The command center watched in silence as humanity's last hope streaked toward the Syrian flagship. The alien vessel detected the approach and attempted to adjust its shields, but the Prometheus was moving too fast, its signature masked by the quantum field. Impact. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the dreadnought's shields flared with unprecedented brightness as the Prometheus detonated its payload, not conventional explosives, but a contained quantum singularity that existed in multiple states simultaneously, bypassing the Syrian shields entirely. The resulting cascade spread from ship to ship throughout the Syrian fleet as their interconnected systems transmitted the quantum disruption like a virus. Vessels went dark or began moving erratically as their navigation systems failed. "It's working," Dr. Chen exclaimed, staring at her readings in disbelief. "The feedback is propagating through their command network." For 20 tense minutes, the command center watched as the Syrian fleet fell into disarray. Nearly half their ships were disabled, the rest struggling to maintain basic functions. Then, unexpectedly, a communication request came through, not from the fleet commander, but from a different Syrian vessel. When Admiral Rice accepted the transmission, the alien that appeared seemed different from the previous commander. Its exoskeleton showed different patterning, and its posture was less rigid. "This is Science Director Vexliren of the Syrian Collective," the translation came through. "I request immediate cessation of hostilities and direct communication." Admiral Rice exchanged glances with her team before responding. "This is Admiral Helena Reyes of Earth. We are prepared to discuss terms." "Not terms," the Syrian corrected. "Understanding. Your quantum resonance technology. It should not be possible at your development stage. It requires theoretical knowledge beyond your civilization's timeline." Dr. Chen stepped forward. "We developed it ourselves, with some insights from friendly species." The Syrian's appendages moved in what the translation system identified as a gesture of astonishment. "Impossible. Unless..." The alien paused, its sensory organs adjusting. "Your species possesses neural capabilities that accelerate theoretical conceptualization. You developed in decades what took others centuries." Something profound was happening. The Syrian wasn't threatening them anymore, but studying them with scientific curiosity. The military directorate ordered this extinction based on strategic calculations. Vexliren continued. "They did not consult the science directorate. Had they done so, we would have recognized your species' unique capabilities. The collective does not destroy potential resources, especially unprecedented ones." Admiral Rice seized the opening. "Then perhaps we can reach an accommodation that benefits both our species." The negotiations lasted for 3 days. As they progressed, a startling truth emerged. The Syrian collective was not monolithic as Earth had believed. It consisted of competing directorates with different priorities. The military directorate had seen only a primitive world blocking the strategic corridor. The science directorate, now alerted to humanity's unique capabilities, saw something entirely different. A species that could conceptualize and implement theoretical physics at an accelerated rate. What emerged was not surrender but partnership. Earth would retain its sovereignty with exclusive control of the inner solar system. The spatial corridor would be jointly administered, with human scientists working alongside Syrian researchers to develop new applications of quantum theory. 1 month after the battle, Admiral Reis stood in the newly constructed quantum research facility in Geneva, watching human and Syrian scientists work side by side. Dr. Chen was leading a team that was already pushing the boundaries of what the Syrians had thought possible. "They underestimated us," Commander Chen observed, joining her at the observation window. "They thought we'd choose between surrender and extinction. They didn't account for human defiance," Reis agreed. "Our refusal to accept impossible choices." Beyond the window, Dr. Chen was gesturing enthusiastically as she explained a new theoretical model to her Xerian colleagues. The aliens' appendages moved in patterns indicating deep interest and surprise. "The Arcturian ambassador tells me our standing in the Galactic Council has changed," Commander Chen said. "They're reassessing our status. Apparently, any species that can force the Xerian collective to negotiate deserves more respect." Admiral Reis smiled slightly. "Good. They should understand what humanity brings to the galaxy. Not just our technology or resources, but our perspective, our unwillingness to accept limits, our ability to find third options when presented with impossible choices." As they watched the scientists work, a Xerian communication officer approached with an urgent message. New data had confirmed what the Science Directorate had begun to suspect. Earth's unique development path had created cognitive patterns unlike any other known species. This neural architecture allowed humans to make intuitive leaps in theoretical physics that other species achieved only through centuries of incremental advancement. "They need us," Commander Chen realized, "as much as we need their technology." "More than that," Admiral Reis replied. "They've grown comfortable with their power, with being the most advanced civilization in known space. We just showed them they don't know everything, that there are still discoveries to be made, approaches they haven't considered." In the research chamber, Dr. Chen activated a holographic model that filled the room with swirling quantum patterns. The Xerian scientists moved excitedly around it, their appendages gesturing rapidly as they integrated this new perspective into their understanding. "Humanity's defiance saved us," Admiral Reis said softly. "But it's our creativity that will secure our future." Outside the facility, the sun set over Geneva, casting golden light across a city that had nearly been destroyed. Instead, it now stood as the nexus of a new era in human history, one where humanity had proven itself not just worthy of survival, but essential to the future of galactic science. Not through domination or submission, but through the uniquely human combination of desperate innovation and absolute refusal to accept defeat. The stars that had once seemed to hold only threat now promised partnership and discovery, all because when faced with impossible odds, humanity had done what it always does. It defied expectations.